Hello.
Oh, we're live. How you doing? You got to pass gas? What's the angle here? Oh, see you later. Later. Gentlemen, happy holidays.
Just me?
Well, I don't know what he's doing. He's an enigma. I don't ever know what he's doing.
Happy holidays, Billy.
Yes. How was your Thanksgiving? Can't hear you.
We There's somebody talking to us off screen.
Uh-huh.
I'll be Jamie.
Hey Jamie, can you pull this up for me? Thanksgiving was good. How was yours, Billy?
Mine was great. We had 25 people and 12 dogs.
Wow.
It was nutty.
And you're a introvert?
Well, that's my family, dude. That has nothing to do with that, dude. I've grown up with these people.
Huh.
Oh my god! It's
Interesting.
the 12 dogs that I get hyped about. It was a good time. It was a good time. I love
Jamie,
my
did
family.
you hear that?
Did you hear that, Jamie? Pull that up, Jamie. What's the definition of an introvert? No, so we had a really good time. It was enjoyable, relaxing, and then I had like a second Thanksgiving that I hosted here, and we had like Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches, and the turkey that I made was absolutely banging.
Disgusting.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was flawless. I brined it, but I carved it down. I spatchcocked it, but I even broke it down even further into each of the sections. Brined it overnight, and then I smoked it, and it was just literally flawless. It was so damn good. So very happy that we had a great Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to kick off tonight with a thought experiment.
Okay.
I know we have a couple of topics to get into, but I want to talk about Thanos and his objectives. Because and this is not going to be a Marvel philosophy like thought experiment. It's going to be like a very human-based thought experiment. But the idea is, Thanos' whole goal was to snap his fingers, wipe out 50% of all, I think, was it intelligent life or all life? So like plants,
I think just all
presumably
life.
All life. That's what I understood it too.
Well, you know what though? It might just have been intelligent because they didn't show at least
Like
plants
plants and
dissolving.
stuff like that, or ants. Poor
Yeah.
ants. Well, 15 trillion ants died at the snap of. No one talks about.
That's why
them.
Ant-Man was so mad.
That's right. But so the whole idea was he had gone through the suffering of Titan, right,
Yeah.
and seen it played out where no one was really willing to make the drastic changes to alleviate some of that late cycle stress caused by aging civilizations who are demanding too many resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thought. So my question to you guys is, does it make sense? Like, everybody disagreed with Thanos. Like, oh, we're just not going to be like you. But obviously he had already seen it played out. So like, there's that argument to be made. Was he right? Was he wrong? That's not what I really want to get into. What I want to get into is the idea of, if you have the ability to skip past true suffering, is that, like, should you do that? And what the reason why I frame it that way is, you always hear that, like, there's another thought experiment of, would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler? Like, if, like, you know what the outcome is of that, would you go and do that? And I think, like, well over I think it's like 99% of people who are polled being asked this question, they do it immediately. Like, there's no hesitation. And so my question is, like, if we don't go through that whole thing, we don't go through that whole thing, and
Where you going?
hey, Jamie, why don't you go out there and grab that?
Jamie, grab the food.
If you don't endure that suffering and then collectively as a species gather that wisdom gained from that suffering, I think there's some good to come from that. So I'll preface it this way. Like, let me lay this idea out and share my whole thought before I hear yours. We have, like, World War II triggered a lot of, like, a global event, of course, right? It's World War II. And then you have everybody getting involved. I'm not sure if World War II doesn't happen, I'm not sure if the U.S. develops nuclear technology as fast as they do. I think they were really galvanized after Pearl Harbor and things like that to really step up efforts to do that thing. So imagine if we don't develop nukes during that era and we develop nukes during the Cold War era, and maybe the U.S. and Russia developed nukes at the same time. Like, we kind of almost were, in my opinion, we might have been blessed to be able to develop those years before any other country and then use them, as bad as they were, to then give us 20 years almost before anyone even had the technology to do the same thing, to really reflect on, this is a really bad thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Versus, imagine if we escalated to the Cold War, we developed those at the same time as Russia, and now we're using them on each other. And we don't have that time to really react and think. You know, so like, that's just one piece that we may have been benefited by being galvanized in the way that we were. So, wow.
Jamie's got food.
Way to go.
Sponsored by Jack.
No. So yeah, so I'm just curious as to your thoughts. Like, if you understand that, like, does it make sense? Because that's sort of what Thanos was going for. He's like, I know what's going to happen. Let's avoid it. But I think there's something to be learned in that, through that suffering.
But see, here's the you covered a lot of ground there. First, I'm gonna touch on the whole Thanos thing. I was part of the subreddit on Reddit, obviously.
Thanos was
Thanos
right.
did nothing wrong.
Oh yeah.
And but the whole issue with Thanos is, if you have a magical glove that can grant your wishes, why not ask for infinite resources instead?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing with Thanos is, I get.
You want to pass that out?
Or
you can bring it over here. I'll pass it out. I'm shocked Jamie's not diving into this. He was the one bitching about it. So.
So, but as far as the whole moral dilemma of like, we learn and we grow from the pain, I do think that's true, and I think it is a tough dilemma that I don't think there's a right answer for, because, you know, if you had the power to time travel and you had the power to save millions of lives, the issue with that is that it would cause, who knows what it would cause, and you can't fix every problem. And so, you know, there's arguments for both sides of doing it and of not doing it. And, you know, it's almost like
what gets created in Hitler's void?
Yeah, like is a greater
worse?
evil gonna replace it? And so it's almost like it's the trolley problem. It is, actually. So it's whether you kill one person. Actually, it's further than the trolley problem. It's like a trolley that leads into another trolley that leads into multiple trolleys. But it's like, at that point, you know, the whole solution.
You kill the guy who cured cancer, but you saved 2 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
and it's like, at one point, is it worse to interact because then you're actively killing that person, or is it better to just not interact at all, and just, because like that's the whole trolley thing, is like not even touch the lever? That means you didn't.
Do you know the results of that? Like, almost like 40% of people can't, or is it like 40 or 60? It's a high number of people who choose to not save, like,
inaction.
Yeah, they do inaction.
I watched there was a video.
It's crazy to me.
I don't remember who did it, but there was a video. You know what? It might have been Vsauce.
Kyle, will you hand the drinks?
But there was a video where they did like a live experiment of people to see if what they would choose, like in a real life trolley situation. Like, there was a train.
Thanks.
It was a pretty cool setup. But what they found is that it was really dependent on like what you had experienced beforehand too.
Like, immediately beforehand?
Yeah, like if beforehand you were kind of primed to be like helpful, rather than it was just interesting. But so that's a tough dilemma, Billy, and I think I would lean on the side, and this is just from like all the pop culture I've seen, I would lean on the side of not doing anything, because gosh. Tough.
So allowing the events to happen as they
Allowing
did.
the events to happen, just because that's kind of how I view my personal life. Of like, I personally would never want to go change anything about me growing up because I know that's who
you know
made
who you are
me.
now.
Yeah. And I like who I am now.
Mhm.
And so
I don't, but
I'm sorry.
no, I don't like you. That's what I was saying.
You don't like? Okay. Well,
yeah, I think you kind of turned out to be a
good thing
jackass.
this is the last episode.
Eat up! I poisoned your burger.
From
Watch me shit your brains up for the next 3 days. You're like that cocksucker.
But yeah, so I would lean, I guess, on the side of inaction unless it was some crazy like the Avengers had to deal with, like half of all life, and I was a superhero. What about you? What side would you lean on? And what about you, chat?
Well, it's interesting. It's like because this kind of does happen, right? They fail to beat Thanos, then they go back in time to then stop him from winning. And now the whole MCU has been dealing with the fallout of, which I kind of love that they touch on, dealing with the fallout of like these people were gone for like 5 years. Like that's going to have a huge effect on society.
Yeah.
So it's kind of they barely touch on it, but it's like which is the obviously 50% of the universe, that's probably something you do take action on. Especially like that's just kind of crazy. But I don't it's such a gray nuanced discussion because the more I thought about it, like I feel like if you asked me that question 2 years ago, it's like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going back in time and stopping World War II. Like that's not a question. But then exactly what you were talking about, what happens in its void? And what lessons do we not learn? Do we develop? Do we
all die from
technology?
nuclear
Exactly.
war?
Do we get into like a Holocaust situation where?
Because the exact scenario you said, where it's like, if we don't launch the nuke at Japan,
and we don't see how fucking terrible that is,
then there's no, tensions were already high during the Cold War, and that's because we knew the chaos from the nuclear bomb. Imagine if we didn't, Crazy stuff. Jamie is over here now.
So did you hear kind of the conversation that we've been having? Like, what are your thoughts?
I am not going to lie. I did not hear. All I heard was if we hadn't have launched the atomic bomb in World War II, we wouldn't have understood why that's such a bad deal when the Cold War came around.
Billy was asking basically, like, if you had the ability to, like Thanos, skip over suffering or correct suffering, would you?
No.
Okay.
The problem with that is there is no suffering. The flip side of that, there is nothing good without understanding the bad. I think that has to exist to understand the opposite. I'm not saying that's pretty. That's definitely not like good in any way. But I think everything has to have equal and opposites to exist.
Okay.
But luckily, I'll never be in a position where I have the ability to have that effect on life or anything. So it's not me that's making that choice because I can't even say that's the right thing. That's just what my gut is saying right now.
So you would, if you had the ability to time travel, you would just go back. You would never even go back in time.
I wouldn't change anything. There's nothing I would change because there's no telling what anything that would be changed. There's no telling what that would do to the future. Everything has cause and effect. So even the horrible atrocities and terrible things that have happened and all the things that have existed, I would never make the decision to go and change that.
I think big point of like where that belief comes from, at least for me, is like Back to the Future.
I mean, Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, as Avengers said. So Victory agrees with Jamie, and I agree with you. What about you, Billy?
I think it's such a delicate thing. Like, if you possess the power to continuously go back in time, then obviously you can keep going back in time to correct forever. But then, like, you're just so micromanagey on the universe. And I wish you guys had watched.
And who's to make you judge?
Exactly. I really wish you guys would have already seen Loki season 2 because we could have a really deep discussion about the implications of what happens. But do you know what happens at the end of it? Have you seen the photos?
Loki, I have. I'm sure Kyle has. Loki becomes
I
the one.
actually haven't looked up any spoilers.
Seriously.
Okay.
You could say it though. I'm not too worried about it. I just haven't been interested enough in it.
He
to look
becomes
up
the
spoilers.
he becomes the god of stories, and he kind of transcends He Who Remains. And what you learn is He Who Remains. You know how he kind of cuts out, like at the end of season 1, he goes, "I don't know what happens from here." Well, he's lying about that. And the whole idea is he had this inclination that Loki, based on his powers, had the ability to time slip in and out of the universe. And so Loki literally has the ability to be the time stone at will without the time stone. And so he was like, "Oh, I've been managing this multiverse for eons. I'm tired of this." And so he was like, "Now I'm just going to let Loki do it and have like the multiverse of multiverses." Like, because he was keeping everything in one sacred timeline, Kang was. Now Loki's perspective is he's going to keep everything going. And there is no sacred timeline. There's all timelines and all possibilities. And so right now, the universe of Kangs exists in a similar dimension as like the TVA, which is outside of time. So the universe of Kangs, there's like a council of Kangs. They already exist outside of time. So they're not affected by anything that Loki can control. But Loki is now they call it the god of stories. And he is like, he is literally He Who Remains now. But even but without one sacred timeline. Now there's a multitude of anything that can happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Jingleby said, as far as around the conundrum, suffering is inevitable. We'll need it to advance and to grow. Smooth seas don't make good sailors, but they think they would end needless suffering, like the Holocaust, world hunger, etc.
I would need an assurance that by ending the Holocaust, another one wouldn't just happen. A part of the reason why we're able to avoid such atrocities is because we've learned it in our history. I don't think simply by going back in time and killing Hitler or, removing the Holocaust that we know would change human nature. I think that unless there's something for us to see visually, that's just the way humans are, another one would inevitably happen. Do you think that's my only concern? That would be, if I had the power to go back and change that would be my only concern. And I'd be afraid of fucking it up even more.
That's my exact point with like the atomic bomb. No. Is like we have to go through that experience to know its to know its devastation. Like we have to experience that. And the fact that we developed it literally a couple decades before anyone else had the power to do so, and we can see the full play out of effect. I think it's not that crazy to say that there might be some good from that we had the time and the ability to study, to learn that and go, what a fucking atrocity, horrible shit happened from that. You ruined that land, radiation, whatever. You killed off countless civilians and kids, and like, let's not do this. And I think everyone kind of, their eyes were opened to the atrocities. That's incredibly profound, Jinglebees. I've never heard that before. The smooth seas does not make a good sailor. I've never heard that before. I love that saying. Where is that? Did you just come up with that, or is that a common? I'm curious. I'm asking you.
I feel like I've heard it.
I've heard a variation of that.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard that one specifically, but I have heard versions of that, like variations of that same saying.
I just feel like we're such a creature of change, and we're like change through suffering, right? Like if you think about even something as simple as like exercise. I heard it from Neck Deep. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Good band.
Oh.
What the fuck?
That was like a porn spinoff or something. We're neck deep, boys and girls.
Jesus Christ, that's deep.
Jesus Christ, that's deep. But I think like we are I think as humans we're drawn to suffering. Because if you think about like what makes us better, it's going through that struggle. Why do we like Souls games? Because you go through the struggle and suffering to get that one moment of, oh, I beat that boss after 3 hours. I've been grinding it. Or, we go and we exercise day in. Well, we don't, but day in, day after, people go and exercise to build their bodies up so that they're better, right? I think just human nature is drawn to suffering.
I disagree. I don't think we're drawn to suffering. I think we're drawn to evolution, to improvement. Which sometimes suffering, you need to suffer
You have to endure.
improve. But I don't think we're drawn to suffering itself. I think we're just accepting of that sometimes you have to suffer to get better.
Dude, there's so many
To get to that, you have to,
total side tangent. I just ate the grossest floor broccoli I've ever had.
Floor broccoli.
It tasted almost as if someone dropped this on the floor, stepped on it, and then put it back in my bowl. Here.
These fries are garbage.
And my shake was so thick just now that when you guys are having this deep conversation, I'm literally over here trying to get it but other than that, it's delicious.
But to your point, the only way that we grow and evolve is to change, adapt, and to endure suffering, some level of suffering, right? Like
Jingle Bees with all the fucking profound.
A butterfly needs to struggle and push out of its cocoon to strengthen its wings.
I know.
If you were to help a butterfly out, it wouldn't be able to fly.
That's why the mama bird just kicks it out of the nest.
Get the fuck out.
They don't fly on their own, right? They yeet them, right? They just yeet them. See ya.
I say have fun.
Do now or survive. It's kind of interesting with I adopted Lincoln, my puppy, and it was interesting to see we would go over and visit when he was a week or two old, and we went back when he was 6 weeks, and then we got him when he was 8 weeks. It was interesting to see the relationship of other species with their parents, because those first 6 weeks, the mom is so protective of the puppies, but then by week 8, when we came over to pick him up, she was like, "Get this fucking guy away from me!" It's so fast. It's like they have their role in society as this matriarchal, giving them life through feeding off of herself. And it's they do that role. So they're protective. It's amazing. And then it's they hit that time when it's all right, you're good enough on your own. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, how does that, it's such a, nature nurture kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How old is an 8-month dog in
dog years?
Yeah,
7 times 8 months.
I don't even know if it's.
I don't
even
think
comparable.
that works.
It's at least 6
the
years
equivalent
old.
Of 5-year-old, maybe.
enough.
It's not like they have to build intelligence. It's just they need to be able to navigate and smell and yeah.
They grow to their most intelligent version, not wise. I feel like an old dog is wise because they've learned from years of doing things.
They've seen some shit.
But they get about as intelligent as they'll ever get within that first year. But they get wiser as it goes along, if that makes sense. Humans too. 1 year is all it takes.
1 year.
When we hit
There's definitely
16,
a bell curve, right, in terms of wisdom. I think it's that moment you're a learner, then you start translating that knowledge into action and really good cohesive decisions. And then I think you start falling off when you just become ultra conservative, stuck in your ways back in the day, kind of, you refuse to continue to learn, be open to new suggestions, and then now you're just kind of you are what you are, you're set in stone, and then obviously you become senile.
That's
I think I'm
next
already there.
That's life.
I'm already there. And that's life. The anchor. You wanted to talk about this weird AI ad? Or no?
Well, yeah. We
How about World of Warcraft, Kyle? Cinematics.
the transition, man?
Well,
So-
did you guys want to keep talking on this topic? I
Nope.
want to dive into my burger, so I was just keying
Okay.
you guys in.
Well, we can.
I'm just eating. Like I'm just going. I don't.
I've eaten my main meal, so I'll go ahead and talk about the AI thing. I got this ad. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it besides it was weird. It was this ad on YouTube, and it was of this AI companion dog, and the commercial was so weird because it felt like the whole commercial was just AI itself, like one of those AI generated, but it's this dog, and it like I don't get the point of why you would buy it. I don't understand. But like in the commercial, the guy talks to it and he's like, "Can you get me a water?" And it says, "I'm sorry, I can't do that, but I will pleasure you with dancing instead." And it's like, what? And
It's weird, man.
it's weird.
What's the price tag on this? Does it say?
So for the light version, 1,600.
Which I think that's approachable. But what's weird is like
I would
we
never
saw the
pay
comments.
$1,600 for a real dog.
People pay triple that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
I'm
crazy.
with you. What's interesting is we just happened to look at the comments while you buzzed off, became Jamie, transcended Kyle.
Now I'm back.
Damn
Damn it.
They were really positive.
They were.
Like they had nothing like
Are
this
you-
is so cringy. It was like, oh, this is amazing.
What if those were paid comments? Though?
They're probably more AI. They're all the puppies.
All the puppies.
All the AI dogs commenting on the video.
The AI dogs are gonna take over the world. If you guys want to check it out, what's do you have it pulled up, Billy? What the name is, or I can grab it.
Grab it.
Let me hold on. It's called the Unitree Go 2.
And it is such an odd commercial, and like, I feel like it's a scam. It might not be, but I feel like it is.
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
No.
It's the Go 2.
If our viewers can give us money, we could test out. We could see if it's a scam.
Yeah, we'll do that. Anyone got $1,600 they can donate?
You could donate it now.
Do you realize the people watching are our wives? That's our own money.
What
Well.
happened to the $1,600 in my savings?
You donated it as a fan. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Unless you guys had something more to add about weird robot dogs.
I'm interested in AI, but AI dogs, AI pets,
I don't get it.
that doesn't interest me.
It's so close, I feel like, to being it. Like, it's able to move around. Obviously, it's got probably a set things that it responds to. But it's so close to becoming, like, so useful. Like, it had that attachment that it could grab stuff with. If it had, like, a hand on its back where it could do stuff,
And it's no
Like,
longer
go.
a dog.
yeah, it's a fuck toy.
Whoa!
That escalated
I thought
quickly.
that's where you were going. No.
Like when Howard gets stuck on the
Then they go to the hospital.
yeah, Big Bang Theory.
Like now it's becoming like a useful tool. Like, hey, it can hold this for you while you're working on something. It can go and grab you something. Like it's close to being like an actual aid. I just can't wait to the point where we can have like a kitchen robot that it can go into your fridge, grab out the supplies for dinner, chop all the vegetables that you need to do. Very similar to like iRobot, the movie where like it just is like
This is before
slamming
they
through.
revolt and
Yeah.
try and take over, though.
100%. No, man, it could be a little both. But it's like it's chopping up all the veggies. It's getting everything ready. Like, imagine that. Like people, I could see that being like a huge thing for people because now it's not an excuse of I don't have time to cook. Now they have something that can help them cook, get everything prepped and ready. Actually, maybe even do the cooking for you. I could see that being a huge boost to people like actually eating in the home, and eating healthier.
Phenomenal
foods and stuff
point, Jingle Bees.
Like that. Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, that's the first time you've ever said that to me, Kyle.
I agree with you like 90% of the time. Why would I want an AI dog when Nintendogs still exists.
Yeah.
That's all you need. That's about as AI pet as I'll get.
And my question is, why, if you're going to make an AI companion, why a dog? Why not like R2-D2?
If I have an AI companion, I want it to be useful. Like I want it to be able to, like you said, I want it to be able to do things. I want it to be able to like go make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yes, master.
Instead of the dog, no, but I'll dance to pleasure you.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to get weirdly pleasured by some robot.
I asked for
dog.
water.
Yeah. Like this is weird to me.
I want it opposable thumb with opposable thumbs at least.
Yes,
Jingleby says.
please.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's not like, if you're trying to emulate being a dog, then emulate being a dog. Shit on the rug every once in a while, take a piss on my drapes, whatever it is. Like,
You're
but
talking
it's
about
not that.
the robot.
The robot,
So, okay. I don't-
But yeah, no jinglebees. If you're gonna no, but like that's what I said. Like if it's trying to be a dog, I told Dylan before this started, if it put a little patch of hair on its back so you can pet it or something. Like right now, it's just plastic and metal. So I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like pick what you're going to be. I think it can't do those useful things yet. So it's just trying to go for like the cute thing. But you guys are absolutely right. If you're gonna be cute, like steer into like a crazy robot, like be like a trash can looking thing with like a 12-inch LCD screen, and then you have some kind of I don't know.
Well, I mean, you guys have probably seen the robot servers
Yeah.
in like restaurants.
Dude, yeah,
It's insane.
Or
the
the-
hotel rooms and stuff where they
The
come.
robot door dashers.
Mm-hmm. We have them around. We have a university near us. I love them. They're so. This is the wrong word to assign to them, but it's what I see them as. They're cute. They're these little cars, like this big, and it's basically a cooler with wheels. And they have lights, and they have a little flag.
No.
And it's just funny to watch them.
I saw one at a normal ass crosswalk. I don't know. They somehow connect to the lights because it sent up the lights, and I stopped and I was like, "Huh, there's no one here. Weird." And then I look and it just starts going, and I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm waiting for this thing." Like it didn't even go to a light; it went to a normal crosswalk.
Yeah, and
This
it's
is the
just
funniest
it's
thing.
hilarious because you'll just see like you might see an army of them or a convoy. They're all following each other. But
I
why a
love
dog?
those. I don't know. It reminds me of those like. There used to be like these robot dog toys.
Yes,
You know what I'm talking about?
Herbie.
kind
Kind of, but there was like Sharper Image used to have it.
They had a
Back when that
dinosaur?
was still a thing. They had a dinosaur, robot dinosaur. They didn't really do anything, but
No,
that's what it reminded. That's what it reminds me of.
I had the robot dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was like, he didn't do anything. Like it was just like you had a controller.
I would never pay $1,600.
Yeah, no. Now, if you gave me a robot Godzilla
That could breathe fire.
that could breathe fire, I'm in.
Imagine if we were all hanging out, we're like, "Oh, let's get a fire going," and you're like, "Okay, hold on," and then little Godzilla comes in.
Did someone say fire? Does it fucking scream and just
The iconic.
launches?
Although it's like the loudest noise ever, like IMAX theater status Godzilla roar, but then it comes around the corner and it's all small.
And there's no volume control for that screech.
It's just
Like, I'm sorry, guys.
it's always max when your house shakes. Oh god.
It's arrived.
I would pay $1,600 for that.
I would.
No
Easily.
doubt. I've changed my whole
Fire
opinion.
breathing dragon.
That's my if I'm gonna get an AI
Propane not
pet,
included.
it's gotta be a Godzilla.
What?
Is that too much to ask? I mean,
Come on, AI developers. What was the name of the company? Open Root or whatever? Make Godzilla next. Unit Tree. Katie Ratio is requesting a Godzilla unit, and you can send it to us for review if you want. We can get a review copy. That'd be great. All right, well, Kyle, are you ready to talk about World of Warcraft?
I mean, I don't really have much to talk about in World of Warcraft other than
Well, I thought
Blizzard is very technically impressive with like their cinematics, and they just released a cinematic for this new expansion for World of Warcraft. Like I said, I'm not a World of Warcraft guy really, so I can't offer anything intelligent in that realm. But man, is it impressive to see what they can do with CG now and stuff. Obviously, the game doesn't look anything like that, but I would love to see just a full movie with that level. I wonder how much the budget on that would be. That'd be crazy.
Did you ever watch Love, Death, and Robots?
On Netflix? Mm-hmm. I watched not all of it.
Well, I mean, it's not, it's like a little snippet.
It's anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are amazing. Like, some of those have the CG animation that's on that level, but Blizzard, whoever they have that directs those, or just
top notch.
Top notch. Like, you go look at the Diablo one. It's amazing. You go look at any of the...
it literally went... the cinematic for Diablo made Billy go from I can't stand Diablo to it's the greatest trailer I've ever seen.
That was a cinematic.
Yeah. So they're good at that. They are good at that.
Any Overwatch?
Overwatch. I love watching those. Like,
it's like a Pixar movie.
Yeah. Super good.
So they are on the top of their game. But how do you guys feel about cinematics like that? Advertising for a game.
I think it brings in people who aren't already christened with the franchise. But if I'm like a fan of the game, I couldn't give a shit about your cinematic trailers. I want to see gameplay.
But you're a fan of Diablo.
I've never played a Diablo game
before. No, I mean,
then.
You really like the cinematic.
The idea, I guess, is
it brought me in.
The people that play World of Warcraft, I mean, they know the gameplay. I don't think it's other than like new bosses and things like that. It's not going to change the game, the way the game plays.
Yeah, imagine watching like Monday Night Football and a Blizzard ad comes on.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking paladin like killing a raid boss with all the numbers on the screen and all the skill. Like,
wow,
it doesn't translate,
doesn't make any
right?
sense at all. Yeah.
But they show that and you go, holy shit, that
I
kind
gotta
of
look this shit up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this looks incredible.
So I kind of agree with Jingle Bees on. Personally, I like those cinematic trailers, but I do find it annoying, or I hate when it's like almost misleading. Which, I mean, every cinematic trailer is misleading in a way around the gameplay aspect.
I guess I'm making an assumption. Like, I guess as gamers, it's very easy, I think, for us to look at something like this is a cinematic trailer.
Yeah, it's obviously not gameplay.
And so, like, when you see that right off the rip, it's very easy for me to be like know that it's cinematic, and I'm not worried about, like, it doesn't trick. I don't think I could be fooled into thinking that cinematic trailer is gameplay. But once upon a time, I definitely was. Like, I remember when Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I don't know, I was like 15 maybe when that game came out. Somewhere around there, 16. And I remember when it came out, that cinematic trailer, I was like, holy shit, this game looks amazing. And then I played it, I was like, okay, it doesn't really look anything like that.
Like, wow.
But that was a long time ago. And
Star Wars,
The Old Republic.
The Old Republic, their cinematics,
incredible.
I love them. I wish we got a movie of just that. But that is nowhere close to the gameplay. And
Not even close.
I think I did fall victim to that one where it's like I saw it, I was like, oh wow, this game looks awesome. And then I looked up gameplay, I was like, oh, this is not that.
Do you get frustrated, like, as a fan of, like, even film? This applies to film too. How much money goes to these marketing budgets? Because, like, these things to create, they're not cheap. I think, like, I want to say, like, that one that you linked with the World of Warcraft one, I heard somebody talking about it because I watched BlizzCon and stuff. I think it was like something like $5 million to produce, right? It's very expensive to create these things. Wouldn't you? Maybe later. Yeah. You didn't want it? No. Oh, you're not a taco guy. It's cheese on.
Well, I didn't order a taco.
Well, I just got you one.
Oh.
Yeah, I got you taco. We got a couple extra too. If you don't want it, you don't have to.
I'll take it. Thank you.
But like it's kind of frustrating. Now you can't have my fucking drink. Okay, you got my taco. You can't have my.
Just share everything, right?
I'm holding hands with you over here. You're drinking my drink. Boy, we got something going on. It's just kind of mind blowing to me how much marketing costs.
No.
Like you see the budget for these films, and it's like. How much did they like the Marvels film that just came out? I think that was like I think I linked it to you guys.
You sent that image.
How much it cost to make that film? It was more than like any of the Avengers films, which is crazy.
Well, it wasn't more than the Avengers, but it was more than like.
I guess it was second only to Avengers. It was
something
it was like over $300 million, I think, to make this film, and I think no other film in the Marvel series was more than that. And I think like $150 million of that budget was just to market it. And it's like, oh my God, they made the thing for $150 million, but the true cost was $300 million just to post ads. Mind blowing how expensive our eyeballs are.
So does that, like seeing that, does that upset you? Because I would say personally, it doesn't, because like at that point the movie's already made, and it's just an expectation I have of course they're gonna market.
Disney, yeah. It doesn't bother me in film. It bothers me in games because it doesn't bother me like. It just kind of upsets me. It's unfortunate that the studio has to dedicate that many resources, because I've always played, MMOs, live service games that I kind of am always hungry and demanding more content of. And it's like, okay, let's say I was a WoW fan. I see this. They spend $5 million to create this, 3-minute 10-minute cinematic or whatever it was. And you get done with that and you're like, I would have rather had, 10 developers for, on salary, on payroll for 5 years, to actually develop new content or make that thing that was kind of cool a lot better. I would rather have the resources and to developing the product better. But film, that's just the cost. That's the cost of playing the game. The same with music. It's the cost of playing the game, right? You got to get in with the record studio that can then market your shit. But with games, it's like, because I always have played like Guild Wars, which is less. It's a much smaller studio. There's no subscription fee, so their resources were always very, very tight. And so, anytime you saw these like animated things that they were trying to hype up, or when Guild Wars 2 came out, I think they had like a $2.5 million. It was like $1 million or $2.5 million esports, and you're like, fucking esports for this game? Like nobody's. What the hell? There's not even a strong PvP scene. It was like, take that budget and make your game better. Use the thing for like people want to play.
Right.
And so that's why it always kind of bummed me out, because it's like, man, I don't know if it has to be this way. But because in gaming, you can have like, there's so many content creators around the gaming sphere that if you just make a really great product like Elden Ring, or I think even Liza P popped off a little bit too. Like Liza P was truly like an independent studio. It's a much smaller studio. Baldur's Gate 3, like they didn't really market that in the sense of like, having great,
word of mouth,
an animated trailer. It was just like the product was really good. And then the engine around that game, which is YouTube and content creators, built that game up to the stratosphere. And I feel like that's the model that you should probably prefer. Just make your product so fucking good and don't worry about the marketing, because if it's so good, the marketing will come naturally.
So what does that say about World of Warcraft?
Oh, Blizzard's. I've never played it. But
the quick little Google search confirmed that just for the technology alone behind it, this doesn't include obviously salaries, manpower, all of that, marketing. It costs about $10,000 a minute for these trailers, these CG trailers.
You can guarantee there's thousands of hours of humans animating that, and
so for every minute of CG film on these impressive cinematic trailers, it's $10,000 just in the technology alone.
That's almost kind of cheap. That seems almost approachable.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to do a full length movie, For just the tech alone, that'd be about $1.2 million, I guess, if you're going if you say like 120 minutes or whatever. And then you add in actor salaries, and you could still make a relatively cheap film, I would say. The most expensive part with anything is the talent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then you've got like this is that trailer specifically is like the pinnacle of technology, versus you could go like a generation or two back, and it's probably much more economical. If you're a smaller studio, to then leverage that.
No.
So on our screen we have YouTube pulled up. But that got me thinking what you guys were saying about though we have Godzilla and other movies where a major portion of the film is CG.
No.
Godzilla, the budget for Godzilla was 155 to 200 million.
So I don't know what causes it to just skyrocket at some point.
But that's crazy. That's of course Godzilla, it's not all Godzilla, but it's gotten a lot better to where it's like some human, some Godzilla, some human.
It's because that chick from Stranger Things has $100 million buy-in.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just kidding.
11.
But I know they had like
Godzilla versus, just to touch on that, Godzilla versus Kong, I think was $400 million.
No, that's Godzilla versus Kong.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like
150
million.
That's a lot
million.
cheaper than I thought it was.
And it made 470 million in box office.
Which was just barely enough to get a sequel. So I'm okay with that.
I want a sequel.
They already have the teaser trailer and everything.
And we have the TV show.
The TV show that's coming out.
Think of the producers of what they had to do in that CGI. I think there's so much like
Provide the money.
Yeah, exactly.
And make the most money.
Offer their creative direction.
Listen, it doesn't look right. Scrap it.
They do this when they. I have a vision.
I have that vision. It's just, that just seems almost obscene, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you look at $200 to just literally make.
And then you look at the original Shrek test footage from 1995. Have you seen? It's been going around the internet lately.
I do see that.
They released the original Shrek test footage from 1995, and oh boy, does it look atrocious! Thank God Shrek did not look like this.
Yeah.
So if you're bored and you want to look up something, look up Shrek test footage. It's hilarious.
What's crazy about like film too is that cost $200 million to make, right? At the low end. When that's all said and done, like we experienced that, we were entertained for like, and what was that movie? An hour and a half, 2 hours?
I think like 2 hours.
Yeah, so 2 hours. You sit down and you experience it for 2 hours, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And like that was $200 million. Like you could build a skyscraper. I don't know how
the
much
first time
costs, but like like would you rather have that or Kong? A Godzilla movie. It's kind of crazy.
Do you remember how wild we used to be in the early podcast days? Like,
what part?
I know.
Remember we had a whole fuck, marry, kill with like Godzilla, Kong, and we were talking about how hard it would be to get through Kong's hair and like to get to his like air. And I'm like, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, damn, we were just really no holds barred back in the day. We could say that now because this is getting to be an old podcast, which is crazy.
We're matured.
Yeah, we're definitely more responsible now than we were 3 years ago.
Oh boy. We remember the whole Captain America, I can do this all day.
I could do this all day
Against Godzilla.
Because we used to pit people together and be like, Captain America could take Godzilla. I could do this all day.
Standing against Godzilla's toe. He's like this big.
And then he does the kick. Not today. Then he does the Logan. Not today.
I bet you someone's animated that. I guarantee.
I looked
that
up,
exists.
I just Googled Godzilla versus Captain America, and there was like fan art for it.
I believe it.
Where he's like wielding Mjolnir, and he's like got it against the flames. And I'm like, okay, Captain America's not that cool. Like Captain Marvel could take Godzilla, but not Captain America.
Jinglebees in chat said, I don't like it when they give too much away with over marketing. Disney is doing that right now and it sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big proponent of like the less I know about a movie, usually the happier I am when I go and see it, with the twists and like.
And then in the case
It's
of
more
Christopher
impactful.
Nolan, you still don't know anything about it after it's done.
You're like, what?
What just happened?
Do we need like? I know that there's like a template for trailers, especially like for YouTube audiences where they're like 2.5, 3 minutes. But why is that always the model? Do we need like? First off, that 2.5 minute video has probably 15 to 20 seconds filled with just garbage, right? Coming soon. Here's the title, and then like from the director that brought you, you know, like what the fuck, you know? And I get it; they have a whole machine around it, but like. Do we need 2.5 minutes? Can we just cut that down to 30, 45 seconds where it's just like
2.5 minutes. I like long trailers.
Mr. Spoiler.
but
Yeah.
where it's not giving away too much? Where it's
Avengers
just like-
Endgame is perfect example of doing that correctly. All of the marketing they had for that, they had long ass trailers, but all the marketing they had for that entire movie was all in the first 15 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Nobody knew anything unless you looked up like the leaks, but nobody knew anything about that movie when they went to go see it. But they still had some kick-ass trailers, and a lot of it was just like montages from stuff we've already seen.
Yeah.
But it was like enticing enough to where you're like, what the fuck are they gonna do?
You know what also did that well was The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. They made it all about smog, and you thought, oh, you're gonna
And he was
Smaug
dead
or
in,
whatever.
like the first.
And he's dead in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like,
Spoiler alert on a book written in 1937 or whatever. Speaking of which, I think today is the 6th anniversary of the first trailer that was released for Infinity War. 6 years ago today.
That's a wild fact to know.
I don't know why I know that.
Infinity War?
Avengers Infinity War.
That was the trailer dropped in 2017 for that.
Yeah, Avengers Infinity
The
War.
first trailer dropped for.
The
There
official
comes
trailer.
a time. Isn't that how it starts?
Released November 29th, 2017.
How did you know that?
That's one of those dates that just stuck on my head. I don't know why.
That's the day the trailer came out.
So Jingle says Avatar, Last Airbender, Percy Jackson, and trailers are pretty good. Yeah, I think I feel like it's a direction that the studio has to intentionally take. It's like, do we obscure, like, is the film good enough to where we can be creative and obscure it, or do we just not give a shit? We want to show the hot guy doing hot guy stuff. We want to show the hot girl.
We
want to
show the best scenes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
I'm not against a long trailer. I'm against a trailer that is poorly constructed and reveals everything. Like, that is all the good moments are in the trailer. Like, I think there's a way to
best jokes are in the trailer.
I think there's a way to do it that's long, interesting, but also doesn't ruin the movie and it's not over marketed. I think that every trailer, and what I mean by being a little bit more minimal in the approach is I think every box office movie should just have one kick-ass trailer, and that's it.
Because they try to
think
do like
that's
5 trailers.
Well, yeah, they
Yeah.
have like the teaser, second teaser,
Yeah.
official trailer, official trailer
second
2.
Speaking of Avatar: Last Airbender, I was a little hesitant at first because of Netflix, but that trailer does make it look pretty good.
Right?
I'm not gonna lie. I almost want to go back and watch the whole animated show again just to
Refresh.
refresh. It's been a long time.
I don't have Netflix anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
fuck you.
I was ripping it off from my parents, and they cracked down on their.
No, Dad, please.
No, it's Netflix that cracked down on their password policy,
Oh yeah,
and
it's
now
true.
now we're here.
We're lending our Netflix to other people. I wonder if they changed the amount that they're charging us.
they probably
You can
did.
do so. You have to choose like where
I'm
your
traveling.
home is. You have to choose your house, your main house, and if you don't, then like when you log in from a different IP, it's like nope, we know it's not you.
Well, when you log in, it'll ask you, like, is this a new TV for you, or are you traveling? You can put traveling, but I think if you put traveling, if somebody else starts to watch it, it's like,
Yeah,
you lied to me.
You ain't traveling.
it's also
Fucking lying.
there's rules to the traveling thing. You can't just like
No.
default to that. Like you have to like activate it. From
You've been
your-
traveling for 12 months.
Like, that's
wow,
quite
you're
a
traveling a mile away from where your parents live. Like that's so fascinating.
Wow, incredible.
Jinglebees told you to watch.
I know. I was
Avatar.
just reading that. I think I'm going to do it. That's the first show I think I remember so it came out in 2005, and I think that's the first time I ever like remember getting choked up and crying during a show. And I was like 10 when that show came out.
I thought, Kyle, you were gonna say the exact same thing that I always tell people. It was so close that I was like, "What the?"
What were you gonna?
I was gonna say that's the first show that like I can fully remember the whole thing. Like
I was gonna say that. I really was. That's also the first one I remember watching beginning, and it's also the first one I remember like.
You're talking about
being
the animated one with the guy with the
Yeah.
blue arrow?
Yeah,
the guy with the blue arrow.
pretty basic summary of the show, but
Naruto, what's his name?
just shut up. Just stop
kidding.
talking.
Naruto.
Naruto,
That's the one with Goku and
Goku
Vegeta.
yeah, those guys.
Oh.
Right.
where he fights the Death Note.
Yeah.
There was like an Attack on Titan or something.
But I remember that's the first one I remember like actually like
Just shut
watching premieres of the show before.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, oh my god, it's coming up. And oh dude, when Zuko, that's one of the best animated fight scenes I think I've ever seen is the Zuko versus Azula Agni Kai in the season 3. It's like poetry.
Was this done by who did this? This is Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon? Yeah.
I never got into that.
All right.
I couldn't. And I don't know why. I feel like it's
It's-
kind of right up my alley. But
Because it's a kid.
yeah, I don't know.
Even as a kid, Billy didn't like.
Yeah,
kids.
even as a kid, you didn't like kids.
I liked Bill Cosby show and
Oh.
Oh, that's a red flag.
I know. Big red flag. And
He watched
Fresh
Little
Prince.
Bill. Do you remember Little Bill?
Little Bill was good.
Little Bill, not really.
It was like
Little Bill.
It was like an animated show
about
with
Bill
this-
Cosby's childhood.
Bill Cosby.
Oh no, I did not watch that.
Little Bill.
No. I don't know. I don't really like. We were so regimented in what we watched as kids. So it was the early days of like recording. So my mom would always record Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres. So that was always on after school. We could not like the TV was locked. You could not watch anything other than that. So that's what I was always exposed to. And then when those shows were over, it was dinner time, and there was no TV on during the dinner time. And then at night we watched whatever the hell my mom wanted to watch. So there was like I never got like morning cartoons, and I never had a TV with cable in my room ever.
Yeah.
So
So makes sense.
I missed out on a lot of those like shows.
Dude,
I really did.
Jingle Bee said the first thing. It's the first show she watched all the way through.
I guess that's just all of us.
I think we're all just that right age.
Yeah.
You know. And then, honestly,
Less
same.
me.
I don't really cry when Zuko is asking Iroh to forgive him, but I cry when Iroh just grabs him and they hug each other.
Who is
'Cause
Zuko?
He had forgiven him
He's like-
already
Is he
the
whole
old guy?
time.
No,
No, Zuko's the young guy. He's like 16 in the
he's
show.
like the bad guy for the first few seasons.
He has, without a doubt, one of the greatest arcs of any character in any show I've ever watched,
Jesus.
and I'm not ashamed.
How
to
did
say
they
that.
do? How did they do episodic releases?
It was weekly.
Weekly.
Like,
No.
and it would you would know like, oh, it's coming out at 5.
It came out at the
o'clock,
same time like I think it came out on Saturdays because that's
Yeah.
like when kids were out
and
of
they
school.
would replay it a couple times. if
So
you had
they
a
would
chance.
always play like all the
previous
episodes leading up to the new one before it. So like if you got up early enough, you could like literally watch like all the recaps, all the episodes leading up to the new episode.
How did you watch it? Did you have cable in your room? So you could
No,
watch
I just watched it in the
or
living room.
living room.
Yeah, my dad actually watched the show
Was
with
with
me.
it.
He
I
liked
figured.
it. Yeah.
My parents did.
I was gonna say your parents watch it with you too.
Mhm.
Oh, that was
that was
there was no chance in hell my dad would have been calling some shit on this.
well. So what's funny? That's one of the shows.
are we watching here?
This isn't real.
like, that's one of the few shows
Sports.
that I forced them to watch that they actually like enjoyed with me. Like
I
they
could just
got
see
into it.
7-year-old doing. You're watching this, mom and dad. Dad.
Because I used to watch Dragon Ball as a kid too, and that one my dad liked it a little bit when they would fight, but otherwise he's like they're just screaming the whole time.
Yeah. Well, Avatar was it was different because it was geared towards children, but it never sacrificed its writing for that. Like all of the creators of the show, they're like, yes, this is a quote unquote a children's show, but just because it's a children's show doesn't mean we're gonna like compromise the story we want to tell. And like it's very nuanced. It was very gray area with good versus evil. Like it like had a lot of philosophical like comparisons in real life with like, you know, like the Fire Nation being the way they were, and like it's just so good. And there's a lot of things that would go right over a kid's head that they wouldn't get, and it's almost like you need to go back and watch it again as an adult. Last time I watched it all the way through was like 5 years ago maybe, and I remember on that watch through I was like, dude, this show is so good.
Yeah, and it never never insulted our intelligence. That's exactly.
She said it much crisper than I did. But that's what I was.
And the comics are phenomenal, I guess.
Yeah.
So
how many seasons are there?
3. 5. It's very quick.
Oh shit! I could just burn through it as an adult.
They're like 20 episodes each. They're all like.
Aren't
20
there
minutes?
No, there's only 3.
Not 4.
There's book 1, air. Book 2, earth. Book 3, fire. That's it.
They don't do water?
Nope.
I guess
no, they do water. Sorry, air is not a book. It's water, earth, fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they don't have a book about air because he's already master. He was like the youngest master.
True. Yeah.
In history.
The last people
The
was raised
airbender.
to.
Yeah, he was like
He
12 years
starts
old.
there.
He was like 12 years old when he became a master, which is like that was unheard of. But he was also the Avatar, so he had a little bit of a benefit there.
Kyle, I want to ask you. I discussed this with Jingle Bees actually, but I want to get your opinion as a fan of Avatar. In my opinion, I love the show, but I feel like I like the ending, but I don't like it as much as I probably could have, because I feel like the tiger lion or the turtle lion
Was a little convenient.
Yeah, just how it comes up right then, right when he needs a solution, and it's like, here's the answer to all your problems. Okay, bye. So to give you context, Billy, the whole show.
Well, if he's about to watch it, should we even say anything? Is this something that it's animated and it stars a kid? So is this like
It is tough sledding. No, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been over 20 years. Hit me.
All right.
Okay, so the whole show, Aang is a
Don't you dare quote M. Night Shyamalan around me.
Yeah. He's a pacifist, kind of. He doesn't want to fight, and
The air nomads in general is a very peaceful society. They're monks, is what they are.
And so he struggles with, that he's the Avatar, and he has to take on the Fire Lord.
Jingle Bee says don't spoil it.
Are you actually gonna watch it?
Each episode's like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, around there. Especially considering there's no commercials on Netflix, so
I'll shred through it. What is it on?
it's on Netflix.
Fuck, I gotta buy Netflix now. I will watch it. I'll watch it.
Dang.
I'll watch it.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
But
It's such a cultural phenomenon that can I tell you why I don't watch this shit? Like, I'm having a flashback because he's sitting here like laughing. I watched Pokemon once, and my dad was in the same room, and he found out the main character's name is like Ash, and he said that was a gay name. So that was the end of that was a gay guy's name, and he didn't want me exposed to that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't watch that kind of shit. I think that's my childhood in a summary. Very homophobic dad.
That's that generation.
Dude, 100%. So I didn't watch that shit at all.
My dad grew up a nerd and like made me a nerd, so like he was much more tolerant to that kind of stuff. Like he never really was an anime guy. Like my dad is not, into that.
Yeah.
But he did like Avatar.
so without spoiling it, Kyle, do you agree?
I do to an extent.
Like, I'll offer you the same thing that I told Jingle Bees. I would have much rather seen Aang figure it out himself. Like, he creates he creates that thing
Mm-hmm.
rather than what happened.
Yeah, I do to an extent, but I don't think it was enough of a like convenient plot device to really ruin anything for me. Aang, his whole arc is about him learning and like becoming, like learning from nature or learning from whomever and being taught, like they explain, like, air nomads learn from the sky bisons and fire people learn from the dragons.
Lizards, yeah.
And then so this thing, this is just like the thing that you learn, because they all learn bending from something. And also, if you watch Korra, they go into a lot more detail about these lion turtles. That also makes it kind of cool. Like, there's a whole, I don't know if you've seen Korra, which had its ups and downs. Korra was not on the same level for me, but there was a whole arc about the first Avatar and how he learned from lion turtles, and like it was really cool actually.
Huh.
And it was voiced by the guy. It was voiced by the guy that plays Glenn and voices Mark in Invincible, Grayson. What's his name? Steven Yeun.
And he's the first Avatar?
He plays the very first Avatar.
Oh, cool.
And it's a 2-episode arc. It's very interesting to watch. So if you don't watch anything, at least watch that. It's cool.
This is going to be the dumbest question in the history of questions, but is this at all like the Avatar movies? Are they based just in the same universe?
Totally not at all.
At all. Okay, that's what I
thought. No, actually there was
kind of crazy they stole that name.
Avatar the movie technically didn't, because James Cameron, I guess Mark got the rights to that name in 1999, because that's how long it took him to make Avatar. And then Avatar The Last Airbender actually came out before Avatar the movie came out, and then it caused kind of a bit of a thing, and so for a long time it had to be marketed as just The Last Airbender, which is kind of silly, but there was actually a lot of back and forth on what Avatar belonged to. And James Cameron being, worth billions, obviously won.
And James Cameron himself,
especially that's in the height of his career. He did Terminator, Titanic. He's like, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. Nickelodeon.
I agree with Jinglebees. It's a shame because Korra had some of the coolest villains. My main problem with Korra was that each season was very self-contained, and it was over. And the reason being is because they were never told
if they were going to continue.
Yeah, they were like, you only get one season, okay, and then actually do another one, okay, but that's all you get. I'm okay, so they wrapped up again. Actually do another one, and so each season was a new storyline. Every final episode was a big dramatic final episode, but it was always it was ending. And then so each season is self-contained and it has nothing to do with the other ones, I feel like. But the villains in Korra were phenomenal. Only one of them I was kind of meh, but the villain from the first season, the third season, and fourth season, especially mainly the first and third season, those villains are even better than Avatar. They're so good.
So I want to go back,
and it got darker. One of the villains in the third season literally kills a woman by sucking out all the air from her, and she just chokes to death and dies.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something Jinglebees asked, because I'm curious. What's your favorite episode of the original series, Kyle? Mine, and I haven't done a rewatch. But the one that's in my head is the train.
Yeah,
where they're trying to go into
the drill.
The drill,
where they have to slice each beam partially to
I love that episode.
I like Tales of Ba Sing Se because it's kind of a breather episode. I like that one a lot. I like Zuko Alone. That one's an old western almost. It's that one's really good. Zuko Alone.
Zahir is awesome, she says.
Zahir is the guy I'm talking about that
sucks out
the air from and then I really like the Boiling Rock Part 1 and 2 from season 3. That's the Prison Break one.
Ooh.
That one's good. Really good.
Jingleby said, my favorite is when he's opening his chakra and dealing with his trauma.
Yeah, it's like season 2, like one of the last episodes. What's crazy about that one too is Aang literally like goes through this whole arc of like becoming like he's separating himself from his worldly possessions. Is like he says goodbye to Katara and like, you know, he's like I'm ready to become the Avatar. And then he gets fucking blasted. And I'm like, damn, like they weren't afraid to do that, which is pretty good.
No spoilers. Though.
No spoilers.
Don't worry, I won't remember it.
But yeah, now that we've gone on our Avatar tangent,
I'm starting
It
to
looks
nerd
like it's
out
on
now.
Paramount Plus, so as well as Netflix.
Do you have Paramount Plus?
Yes.
Well, then there you go.
There we
which
go.
makes sense.
Paramount owns Nick,
Oh,
so that's.
I guess
that
that
makes
would make
sense, yeah.
more sense than Netflix, huh?
I don't know how.
It's interesting how it could be licensed to both platforms at the
So
same time.
the Netflix show is actually not owned by. Well, the live action one that's coming out, it's not owned by Nickelodeon. Like, they
do you
sold
think
the
they're
rights.
just they're having the rights?
Well, they
So
probably
they probably negotiated the rights to the show for a little bit to then prop up like, hey, we're gonna
and probably even before that, like
do a live show.
oh shoot, what show was it? Like where they probably had Avatar on there before Paramount Plus existed, and so they have an existing
Like
Yeah.
life cycle.
contract.
Yeah.
And there was another show that was like that.
A lot of Disney shows.
A lot of
Yeah,
different
like
shows.
Daredevil.
Netflix for a while.
Like now that's, the new show is going to be on Disney Plus, but it was on Netflix.
They still have
It's
like
still-
Marvel films on Netflix every once in a while, and it's like, why is that
Yeah.
on there? That's weird. That's like a newer, like Thor Ragnarok pops up every once in a while.
So it must be like
what?
an existing contract or something like
Or
that.
if you're using a VPN and say you're from a different country, like they have
Where
different-
Disney Plus might not be available.
Yeah.
I'm in the Vatican actually. I get
This is the only way.
population
To,
300.
So what was your favorite cartoon as a child?
Jimmy Neutron.
God, I love Jimmy Neutron.
Really?
Yeah, I love Doug. I love
Brain Blast.
I love
Jimmy Neutron. Kid to the stars.
Dude.
Buy candy bars.
the movies of Jimmy Neutron were really good. I probably watched the most of SpongeBob. of
Who
course.
hasn't? I mean, come on.
That was the only, like, I could catch the ass end of that before fucking Oprah Winfrey came on. So I could, like, that was what I would watch. I mean, what freaking 12-year-olds watching Oprah Winfrey? I just can't get over that, dude. That's all I had.
When
Oprah Winfrey followed by Ellen DeGeneres.
I used to
was
go
what I
over to my babysitter's house when I was young and went in elementary school in the morning, and she would be watching Full House or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
Nice.
and like that was it.
That's it.
And
On repeat.
to this day I don't like Full House.
I'm not a big Full House guy, but Fresh Prince.
Fresh
I
Prince
do
was
like.
good, but Full House I was like, this is.
I don't have a problem with Full House. It's a little too G for me. Like, and I don't mean gangsta. I mean like PG. Like it's not like I feel like it's a little too family oriented.
Yeah.
I need a little bit of muck in my comedy, if that makes
a little bit
sense.
depression.
What I watched, Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah, the,
That
new
was
episodes, the new episodes of SpongeBob suck. Have you
I know
seen?
I saw one
haven't.
recently because my wife and I went
But
to
what
try and
happened?
watch through it, and it's just like, ooh, I don't know about that one.
I don't know what they. It's ever since the creator died, their vision has just died as well. It's bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dragging
like,
the
they've really
corpse.
softened-
Nickelodeon's. Come on,
Yeah.
SpongeBob. I'm
They're just
tired.
milking it.
I can't do it anymore. I've been doing it
Shut up.
for 24 years. Can you believe SpongeBob came out 24 years ago?
I watched a lot of Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World.
That was one of those shows that you kind of like grew up with, and like the
Dude, me and
actors
your
grew
brother
up.
randomly watched that show a lot when we were in our late teens. Because they used to play him on MTV a lot. And me and him would just be watching Boy Meets World all the time. I don't know why. That and Saved by the Bell.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
watching Saved by the Bell.
Yep, I remember that phase actually.
You ever watch SWAT Cats?
What?
SWAT Cats?
What the hell's that?
Kyle, did you watch SWAT Cats?
SWAT Cats? No.
Yeah. What?
No, I've never heard of this.
What?
SWAT Cats was amazing. It was on Boomerang.
I don't know what that is.
It was these cool,
What's
rad
Boomerang?
cats.
You don't know Boomerang? They have like all the. It's like kind of like Cartoon Network absorbed them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like Johnny Bravo. And,
Oh,
those are all like
shit,
Boomerang.
okay.
It was like older cartoons where you
Okay.
could watch older, like Flintstones, Tom and Jerry. But SWAT Cats was like an 80s show, I think. And it was these cats that were cool and, rad. And they had like jets. And they were basically the Ninja Turtles, but cats. And in the SWAT team.
That
Justice
seems really
League
wild.
Unlimited was good.
Ooh, yes.
It has one of the coolest intro songs ever too, and they're just walking in slow motion in the silhouettes.
Batman Beyond.
Voltron is good.
Dexter's
Batman.
Lab.
I had
Powerpuff
Dexter's
Girls.
Lab. Dude, my dad loved Dexter's Lab. I remember I had a Dexter's Lab video game, Game Boy game, and my dad beat it. And then, he played it so much that I was like, I want to play it. And my dad was like, no.
After I beat it, you can play it.
He literally he played the shit out of that.
Did you buy your Steam Deck?
No. I got to wait till after Christmas.
Why? See if you get it.
Well, no, because I asked for money for it. As part
Jingle
of my
bees.
Christmas present.
You know what to get this guy.
Please, the $800 one.
They get the full terabyte Steam Deck.
If you guys could just donate money to our
Steam
Just donate
Deck,
it to the stream.
so that he can bring it to the house. Forget it.
Tori and
I
I,
can. No, I'm kidding.
back to Boy Meets World, Tori and I actually just watched through not all of it,
The new one or the original?
the original. We watched through Boy Meets World starting from when they were seniors in high school, just because it's kind of hard to relate to the younger, but
The
once they,
Spider-Man young.
yeah, but once they become seniors in high school,
Yeah.
the comedy evolved with them. It became a little bit more adult, and but we watched through those last seasons together. And she had never watched Boy Meets World, but I forgot how funny that show is.
It's funny, and what's interesting is they're real situations. There's real consequences. It's not that I'll watch these kids shows because we'll have kids over sometimes, and it'll just be on, and it's just this is not good writing. It's oh, there's a problem. How are we gonna solve it? Oh, and it's just so not human.
See, but
I feel in Boy Meets World, it feels really human. It's oh, I could see that happening.
but that's like
The reactions are real. It's not hyperbole.
you're choosing specific shows
That are geared
right.
towards the extra young. And
that
then the,
and also Boy Meets World was an exception, right? There's so many shows that existed back then that weren't
That were
like
bad.
that.
Yeah,
were
that's
bad.
So because I never watched it, but Jingle Bees is a big fan of it, Adventure Time, and she showed me some episode,
Adventure Time's great.
and that's a newer kid show that
That's true.
fully respects the audience.
is that newer? It's 15 years old now.
I was gonna say I don't know how new
No,
that
it's
is,
not.
but it is good. It's very
It's
old.
15 years
It's
old.
been around forever.
Could be.
Same with
be.
the other one. What's the other one that's always cited Adventure Time and then
Regular show.
yes, that's been around for a while too.
Let's look at Adventure Time.
I can't really get into regular.
Yeah, I
show,
guess
though.
we're
Adventure
old.
Time
We are old.
came out in 2007.
No.
Yeah. So that's older than 15 years ago.
Jeez.
I knew it was because I remember being kind of young when I first started
Wow.
seeing about it.
I love regular show. Yeah. So does Rana. It's just I can't be sold on it.
Did you
It's
watch
a-
Adventure
it's-
Time?
It's good
I can't-
enough. Yeah, I've seen them
Can't
both.
be
Yeah.
bought. Around that time I wasn't a huge Cartoon Network guy. I didn't find
Yeah.
Cartoon Network. I did like Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids or Imaginary Friends. That one was,
Codename Kid Next Door.
I liked that one too.
You guys remember when The Office was popping off, and everybody would just have The Office on repeat in every home you ever
They
fucking
still
went
do.
to?
Yeah, still do.
It is a great show, and there are some awesome
I'm
highlights. but
over it though.
Fuck me, can we not?
Yeah.
How many times do you just need to have some shit on in the back? I was reading about work from home strategies, and one of the strategies was to put on repeat a show you've already seen.
So that you
And I'm you're fucking insane. How about there's got to be better strategy. They're so you could distract your brain, because people, I guess, were like saying they spend too much time on their phone working from home. So the idea is you play the show on your phone, and then you work, but you don't need to watch it because you already know what's about to happen. Like
That's
that's
get
fucking
it, but
like
it's
the
also
most
weird.
ADHD thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, Jesus Christ, you need to have 6 things playing.
You know, it's just sorry, I'm super ADD. But I was just thinking of Boy Meets World. One of the funniest episodes ever for me is this like Halloween themed one where they're like seniors in high school. And one of the characters, like the bad guy throws a pencil, it goes through this kid's head, and like the pencil stabs the wall behind him, and he slowly falls, and it like leaves a mark on the wall. And then Eric, the older brother, goes up and he's like, well, always remember he was this tall. But like the way he did it, like it was so funny. I always am like, every time I see that episode, I just die. It's so funny. And then they're like,
What a crazy comment to make after that.
and they're like, well, if you're a virgin, you're safe. If you're not a virgin, they always kill like the people that have had like that are no longer virgins. And then the 2 older brothers are like, I'm dead. And then Sean was like, I'll be about as sick as you can get without actually dying.
King of the Hill.
Oh, dude, King of the Hill is
Classic. That one
Family
actually
Guy?
is good.
Never was a big Family Guy.
Never.
I
I
watched
was
a
for
lot
a
of
little
it.
bit.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it, but what's crazy is that I think that show only has like 9 seasons.
No, it's got to have more than that. Family Guy?
At least that's what I saw on the streaming platform. I think there was only like 9 seasons, and that was my initial reaction. Like, this was such a
Word.
cultural phenomenon.
It's survived cancellation multiple times. I know that. In fact, it was canceled, I think,
Well-
at one point for a couple of years.
And I think Seth wants it to be dead, but they won't let him, or something like that.
Apparently, Family Guy is still
22 seasons.
Only 9 seasons.
so
you
the
know?
9. Well, so they only have 9 available to stream. Apparently, they're still making it. That's what Jingle Bee says. That's kind of shocking. But
You know what's funny is Seth MacFarlane is actually like a huge sci-fi fan. Like if you ever watch his show The Orville, it's really good. It's like it's got funny moments, but it's actually like very like it's good sci-fi. Like it's like kind of campy, a little like old-fashioned Star Trek-y. But I'd recommend if you're a fan of Star Trek, watching The Orville. Seth MacFarlane literally plays like the captain. And it's kind of like a Star Trek, like, I don't want to say like parody, because it's not really a parody. Like it takes itself seriously. But it's on Hulu, I think.
well, wasn't it only launched as like an exclusive to their streaming platform?
It was originally on TBS, I think.
Yeah, and it was like TBS Plus. You had something weird.
Maybe. I mean, I've only ever watched it on streaming,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it was ever on a network or a cable. But
How many times has The Simpsons been in their final season? They're still fucking making it.
it hasn't been good since the 90s. So
That's just crazy to me. Like, my God, I read that headline that it's it's on its last leg like 3 years ago, and now it's still going.
it's wild.
35th season.
That's older than everyone in this room. It's crazy.
Jeez. And they had a movie.
It did.
Multiple movies, right?
I saw that movie in the theaters with Something Cool Gaming. The Simpsons.
Ooh.
That movie, I liked the movie.
The movie's great with the scene with Bart riding the skateboard.
And then it just like all the perfectly placed things, and then it's just a shot of his dick.
Yeah.
I love one of my favorite parts of that movie is when like they're all jumping into that sinkhole to get outside the dome, and then Homer jumps in and he's like flipping them
fat.
off,
And then-
and then he just stops and he's like, and like his head's still showing claw.
Yeah.
Fucking pickaxe or like the hoe and shit.
He's like just attacking his head. And a full arrow.
Yeah. Oh shit! The game was actually really fun too. The Simpsons game.
Side scroller
Hit
one?
and run. Hit and Run.
That was actually a
it was a
really fun
GTA
game.
clone. Is what it was.
It was so good. Really? It was like
Yeah.
It was
It
so
followed
good.
it followed the GTA San Andreas model, like almost to a T, but it was a Simpsons story.
It was so good.
I remember getting all the secret cars.
Yeah, me too. I was just gonna mention that. Yeah, and then you get like the elite one that's unlocked at the end, and you could like go super fast.
It's like the
and-
jet. It's
Yes,
like,
that was awesome. Man, well,
Nostalgia.
this is kind of a random ass episode.
Yeah, and
talk.
well, starting with the name. Do you wanna build a snowman?
we didn't even talk about.
Was
It's
that ever?
Christmas time.
Oh, it's
Duh.
not December yet.
Do you want to build a snowman?
No.
Not really.
Really?
Not right now. We can't.
What if we had I love building.
Is that the first thing you do, Billy? When you're like,
Snowman.
snow.
Yeah, just cream my jeans.
Well, we
or-
used to make.
I
Some,
love snow,
some dope ass forts with your dad.
dude. We had
Your dad would be out there with us, and we built some
Fucking
crazy ass shit in his
we
backyard.
had this one. We were in like 6th grade or so, 5th or 6th grade, and it was like we had 4 feet of snow just dump on it. It was the worst. It was craziest to this day. I've never seen a snowstorm worse than that year. Remember the fucking pile of snow that they had in
It
the
was
front yard?
insane,
We were
yeah.
just snowboarding down. We had like a mountain in our cul-de-sac.
Because this plow came through and just scraped up everything and put it all in one corner.
It was as high as a 2-story home.
It was monstrous.
It was huge.
We're sledding on
We
it.
played tackle football in the front streets, like on the asphalt. Anyway, we would build these igloos, and we would just smash and pack all the snow up, and then we would just start carving them out. And we'd have like little forts and shit. It's crazy.
We had crazy snowball wars too.
We would spend 2 hours setting it up and have a snowball fight for about 5 minutes, and be like, oh,
I think we were really blessed to grow up in a neighborhood with a bunch of kids our age.
100%.
You know, there was like 10 of us at any given point.
A
And
lot.
So like that was
All within like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would split our driveway one side, you know, and then we'd build like a wall. We would do this shit when there was like an inch of snow, and we'd have like the dumbest fucking little curb.
Became ice.
Yeah,
like it'd be slush ball.
A rock.
Yeah.
Remember we had that patch of ice where my mom drove her car,
And we're all running
driveway.
slide
We
on
would we'd hit the line and we'd all like slide. Somehow we didn't
Inevitably,
break our head.
someone would fall, cry, go inside.
It probably is Matthew,
Turn into a dramatic.
dude. But no, I adore the snow. I look forward to winter every year. I feel like I miss building. Like I felt like as a kid when it snowed and stuff, like you would gear up and I was in the elements more. Like as an adult, you don't really like gear up to go play in the snow.
Yeah, you're looking through the window. You're like,
you know what I mean? Like
I'm
Like-
warm.
That Michael Scott meme where he's staring like at Jim or whatever,
Yeah.
or at Ryan, all like evil looking.
but you know, like you don't play in the snow anymore. Like now it's just I move the snow
You
like with my
clean it.
shovel. Yeah. But like when I first got my dog, I did kind of play around with him, and it's so much fun to just, you know, tackle your wife in the snow.
I was gonna say the same thing. Jingle here says, you need to come up to Florist. Well,
Tahoe or Floreston.
Tahoe or Floreston.
See if you like the snow.
See if you like the snow after a winter up there.
I
I love the snow. I do, but holy.
Not
Okay,
for the
living up
roads.
there is a choice.
yeah.
So I don't want to fucking hear it. All right.
I think that's why I appreciate snow so much, because here in the city, we get like the best of the world. We get the weather, so you'll have your snow for like a week or two. But then because the sun is so intense here, and we have so many clear days, it'll snow, and then the next, like within 2 or 3 days, the roads are totally perfect.
Dude, I don't know what
like
it
we
is.
have perfect conditions.
It's literally just a couple hundred feet, but living in Cold Springs is so different than living even where you live. Like, it's a different biome. Like,
It's so wild,
it's
isn't it?
so snowy up there. And I can't tell you how many mornings that we've woken up to just 4 feet of snow,
And you're
just
just
like,
like,
oh my God. And then as soon as I get over the hill to Red Rock, sunny, bright summer, I'm like, what?
Well, you said like that one photo of like we're snowed in, and it was like just starting to get it over here. You know, it's like 10-minute drive. You're like, what the fuck?
It's like literally that couple 100 feet like makes all the difference.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
So they call it Cold Springs.
Cold.
Emphasis on the cold.
Is there hot springs up there?
Nope. It's just cold.
Where's the springs come from?
I don't know. Where does are the springs in Spanish Springs? Do they speak Spanish? Like,
Yes.
That's a good point. Cold Springs. What the fuck kind of name is that? Where's the springs from?
the intermittent lake that's out there.
The salt bed.
Yeah, it's a spring.
I know. I think that's what I'm trying to imagine. Like, that's a terrible name for a spring.
Yeah.
Intermittent lake. That's what it should be named. That's
Intermittent lake.
Intermittent lake.
Intermittent lake town.
Intermittent
Salt
beachfront
bed
property.
There's sometimes Cold Springs, it reminds me of in GTA 5, where Trevor is living. That's what it feels like sometimes.
I knew what you were talking about. As soon as he said, I was like, oh.
That's what it feels like sometimes out there. I love it out there because it's like away and I like kind of being.
Yet you still have a community. Yeah.
But I can still get into town pretty easily, you know. But sometimes, like, the worst is propane. I cannot wait to get off of propane.
Yeah, I hate propane. It sucks.
Well,
Anyways.
my city boy ass don't have to buy no propane. I just buy the gas.
Charcoal is the best.
You're not even city boy though. You're like outskirts of
you're
city boy.
you're still on the outskirts.
I'm fringe city boy.
Fringe boy.
Even
I'm county, actually. Technically,
some
I'm
people
county.
would still argue that you're well outside the city.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm technically county. So.
No.
But you are too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't even. My water company is not even the same as yours. Who do you go through? I go through Great Basin Water Company.
Great Basin, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Do you do Tumwa?
No, it's the Sun Valley General Improvement District of Water Utility or something terrible.
Wow.
It's dedicated to this small little 20,000 community. No idea why. Why we have our own water
Growing
treatment.
up where we grew up, that's they went through that too.
Yeah.
But
no idea why. If you go about 300 feet that way, it's Tumwa.
Great Basin Water is typically like all rural California and Cold Springs.
And Cold Spring.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Water utilities.
This is so interesting to
So
talk about.
riveting conversation.
I'm sure this is not going to kill off the few viewers that we have.
They're troopers, man. All right, well, it's been fun.
It's been real.
Holiday season is upon us. The
But it
lights are
hasn't
hung up. The
been
tree is up. We have gifts under the tree.
Are you playing
Wrapped.
Frozen on repeat?
No, I've only ever seen Frozen like once. So
But it was
I
so
barely
good
know.
that he named this episode after it.
Well, my wife sings that song about 18 times a day. So.
Do you want to build a snowman? I don't even actually know the beat.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Okay, I was close.
We're gonna get flagged. Video taken down. Copyright.
Copyright. That's how good it was. It sounded just like
Holy shit, is that Elsa? Bring him down. Take him down. All right, well, and remember, the good Katie.
Hey, we're not gonna tell them where to find us.
No, you know what?
They
In our
know.
image, we have all of our shit on there.
Oh, well, find us at the stuff below, guys.
Right here. Click.
Right here.
Click. Well, there's nothing to click.
Yeah, if
There's
you
nothing to
click it, it's gonna pause the video.
Yeah. Whoa! We're getting reactions. We better hang up now before you see the real deal. Bye.
Bye.